Raffle today. We've got some people walking around with clipboards so you can fill out a raffle ticket. One per person. You have to be 18 or over to win, and you have to stick around till the end, which will only be about half an hour, 45 minutes from now. We're giving away $100 in 2 different drawings. So halfway through the speakers, we'll give away $100, and then after our last speaker, we'll do another $100 winner. So stick around for that. So, welcome to the Tax Day Rally and Protest here in Binghamton. We're one of probably 100 of these events going on around the country. Nice to see some people here who are here for the Women's Day March, the day after the inauguration. Welcome back. So today's event was organized by 2 groups. Citizen Action of the Southern Tier chapter of New York, and Mary Clark, who's the regional director, is going to talk in a little while, tell you what Citizen Action is about. We're a new group, Indivisible Binghamton, that kind of piggy-tailed on their efforts. So Indivisible Binghamton started on Facebook just 2 months ago, almost to the day. We already have 718 members. So let's hear it if you're in Indivisible right now. We hear you? Well, we're hoping that the rest of you will seek us out on Facebook, look up Indivisible Binghamton, and sign up so you can be in on the ground floor of our efforts. So my name's Tim Mullen. I'm a member of Indivisible Binghamton, and I want to tell you a little bit about the national movement. So Indivisible was started just this past December by some former staff members who worked for Democratic Congress people. So they were the staff on the front lines in like 2009 when the GOP lost their mind because, oh my God, we elected a black president. And the GOP freaked out, and the grassroots, known as the Tea Party, rose up and made life very difficult for Democrats and shot down a lot of President Obama's great ideas. So these congressional staffers saw that what the Tea Party was doing was very effective. They were directly engaging their representatives in Congress. They were just constantly visiting their offices, picketing, protesting, talking to reporters, writing letters to editors, making phone calls, writing letters and postcards and emails. So these staffers said, let's form a group called Indivisible as part of our Pledge of Allegiance and use those same tactics for our side of the equation. So the far right has had their day. They had a big day this last November, but now it's our turn, right? Oh, quiet down, biker guy. Sorry about that, a little technical issue. So here in Broome County, our efforts are kind of focused on our representative, and I use that term loosely, to Congress. Representative Claudia Tenney represents a lot of Claudia fans here, I see. So Ms. Tenney was just elected in November, and she's been promising since then that she would hold a town hall. I've been there when I've seen her promise that she was going to do that. She claims that she's in fear for her safety, and says the Capitol Police have advised her not to have a public meeting. The Capitol Police, of course, says that's not true. And she made a trip, which we commend her for. She made a trip to Afghanistan and Iraq, but apparently she felt safe there, but not meeting with her own constituents. I gotta go, there's my ride. The joys of speaking outdoors. So, all of these groups interact with our representatives, and for us, we're asking Claudia Tenney to do her job. So I'll say, hey Claudia, I want you guys to yell, do your job. Hey, Claudia. Hey, Claudia. Hey, Claudia. Thank you. So, another one of our main focuses, obviously, is to resist an administration that stands for the super rich and the huge corporations against, the rest of us. We're against a president who backs up his hate speech with backwards policies that affect women, minorities, immigrants, and people of different faiths. He's a nightmarish fascist, there's no other word for him, who's by far the most incompetent, offensive, immoral, and dangerous person ever to hold the office of President of the United States. And it takes a lot to beat Nixon, So, Nixon had some okay things, but so before I turn it over to our first speaker, I'm going to be making more remarks throughout about Mr. Trump's tax returns. But the first point I want to make about that is that every major presidential candidate for the last 40 years has released their tax returns to the public. So I'm going to say some names, and you yell yes or no as to whether they released their tax returns. Did Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan release their taxes?
Yes!
How about Walter Mondale?
Yes!
What about George H.W. Bush and Michael Dukakis?
Yes!
Bill Clinton and Bob Dole?
Yes!
George W. Bush and Al Gore?
Yes!
John McCain?
Yes!
Mitt Romney?
Yes!
Barack Obama?
Yes!
Hillary Clinton?
Yes!
And the Donald?
No!
That's right. Well, we're going to change that. I want everybody to be contacting the representatives, especially Representative Tenney's office, to demand that a law that's being proposed right now be enacted. It's called the Presidential Tax Transparency Act, that would require Trump and all future nominees to release at least 3 of the previous 3 years' tax returns, so that it's no longer an option or a norm, because this guy ignores all of that. It needs to be forced by law. So let's make it a law that you can't become president unless we see your tax return. So our next speaker is the president of the Broome Tioga chapter of the NAACP. So let's welcome Micah Barrero.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank Citizen Action for inviting me again. I guess they're very trustworthy in my abilities, and I hope that I do not disappoint them. The question posed before me was, how will the tax changes affect the lower income and also minorities? It's a little difficult to answer that question due to the fact that many people spend their money many different ways. However, I can give you some basic ideas as to what you will have left, and the fact that you probably, under most circumstances, will have a little less left. President Trump made a lot of promises about taxes. During his campaign, he vowed to cut taxes, quote, across the board, end quote. He said he would increase the standard deduction and eliminate estate and alternative minimum taxes. Now, we know that a large chunk of Trump's tax plan will benefit both corporations and the wealthy. And this is due to him eliminating the surtax on investment income and lowering corporate taxes. Now the question is will Trump's tax plan hurt low-income families? Well, that depends on who you ask. According to Trump, things would improve for everyone, and as he said in a Florida rally, quote, we are going to massively cut taxes for the middle class, who I call the forgotten people, end quote.
Liar! Liar!
According to the Tax Policy Center, however, that's not true. Trump's tax plan would save some Americans money, but it would hit those who need tax savings the hardest. Trump would condense the current 7-bracket tax system into just 3 tax brackets. That means that low-income families earning less than $30,000 a year would go from paying 10% of their wages in taxes to paying 12%. One other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Trump's plan would also eliminate the head of household filing status. And that is something that gives tax breaks to those paying over half of household costs and single people caring for dependents. His plan will also eliminate personal and dependent exemptions, and those are currently worth $4,050 per dependent. This is something to think about. Just to give you an idea of what it would look like, a married couple filing jointly, current deductions would be $32,850 if they have 3 children. Under Trump's plan, that goes to $30,000. You get $15,000 per parent. That's it. Same scenario, 3 children, but if you have 1 parent filing head of household, currently you get $25,500. That will drop down to a staggering $15,000. 15 for 1 parent. No deductions for children. I'll quickly give you an idea of what the numbers look like. Okay. $9,275. Oh no, let's go with the married people first. Married, $18,550 to about $75,000. If that's your income, you're in the 15% bracket right now. Trump's plan actually will take you down to 12%. But remember, you don't get deductions for dependents and other things. For single filers, cut the numbers in half. All right, I won't go through them all. Quickly, if you make about $152,000 to $225,000, and it's a married couple, once again, you're in the 28% bracket, and you'll go down to 25%. That's about the 2 snippets that are good for us, because I'm pretty sure most of us are not up in that $413,000 a year bracket. And it's amazing how if you make more than $413,350, your taxes will go down between 2 and 7%. This needs to be stopped. One quick message for my retirees. You declare and pay taxes using the regular income tax rates on all your earned income. A pension counts as regular income for tax purposes. The U.S. uses a progressive tax system. So if your taxable amount is above the low bracket, you will be paying one of several different higher rates. The problem here is you need to pay attention to what is taxable income. Is Social Security income taxable? Well, the basic rule is Social Security retirement, and I'll wait. Social Security retirement benefits are tax-free income. However, if your combined income exceeds a certain level, a portion of Social Security you receive will become taxable income at the new rates if it passes. All right, now the IRS defines combined income as your adjusted gross income That's your pension, plus non-taxable interest earnings, if you have any, plus half of your Social Security benefits. That will be your combined income. And if it hits the levels that I talked about just a little while ago, you will be taxed. Binghamton, you're out here because things need to change. Binghamton, you're out here because you have the power to make things change. Let's not stop here. Get the info and then do something about it. It's amazing how we talked about a couple of years ago how we were the 99%. And I have no clue how we let the 1% get in that office. But it happened. But we are still the 99%. And because we have the ability to make our message heard and to get what we want. But we must do this together.
Thank you, Micah. So, you've probably heard the lame excuse that Mr. Trump has given that I can't release my taxes because they're under audit. Well, that's completely false, like 90% of what comes out of his mouth.
95.
Or 95%, but who's counting? So here's a few reasons why the IRS audits do not prevent Trump from releasing his tax returns. So for each one of these points, I'm going to ask if it's true or false, and for each one, I want you to yell back, Pravda. So, Trump's tax attorney said in March that his returns since 2009 were being audited. The IRS said nothing, including an audit, quote, prevents individuals from sharing their own tax information. Is that true or false? Pravda! Trump's tax attorney said his returns from 1997 through 2008 are no longer being audited. So why can't we see those? Is that true or false? Pravda. Trump can delay the completion of his audits if he wants to. Is that true? Pravda. As president, Trump will be automatically audited every year, an IRS practice in place for presidents and vice presidents since the 1970s. Is that true or false? Pravda. President Richard Nixon, our last wonderful president, released his tax returns while he was under audit. Is that true or false? And finally, multiple former IRS commissioners have said an audit doesn't prevent tax returns from being released if the person chooses to do so. True or false? All right. So our next speaker is from Family Planning of South Central New York. Please welcome Julie Weisberg.
I just want to say, hello, Cleveland. Some of you will get that joke. I'm 46, so I get it. So I'm going to keep it really short. Oh. Getting interference. And I have to read. I took my notes on here. But I want to talk about how taxes and health care, thank you, specifically. Oh, we've got two? Yeah, well, my dual personality. I'll talk about it. All right. Okay. I could just ad-lib, because Tim is here, and I know you run the improv group. Next time, buddy, I'll be there. All right, you guys. So, I'm Julie Westberg. I'm the Director of Public Communications for Family Planning, and Mary asked me to talk specifically about taxes and health care. And what I'd like to talk about, I'm going to keep it short, is how, the initial Trump care, it failed, which was a good thing. But if you looked at the news recently, I guess a few weeks ago, Trump was like, I'm going to switch to tax care. We're gonna let the health care reform sit for a while. We're going to shift to tax reform, sorry. And then all of a sudden now, the last few days, he's like, oh, you know what? We're gonna do healthcare reform again. And there's a reason why. Because in order to have this huge tax cut that they like to give to corporations and the wealthy, they really want to get their hands on one thing specifically, and that is the honeypot of funding that is Medicaid. And a huge, one of the things that the GOP really wants to do is they want to cut how they give states Medicaid funding. So right now, basically, Medicaid is run on a need basis. So someone, qualifies for the program in the state that they live in. They have healthcare needs. Decisions are made on a medical basis, on a healthcare basis. What the Republicans would like to do is they'd like to change that. They would like to change it to either a per capita or a block grant. Either way, it's a finite amount of money, meaning that healthcare decisions for the states, they have a very finite pool. So they either, to keep the program going in the state, they may have to either deny care for people, lower the amount of people covered. Ultimately, it will end in less money being spent on people who need healthcare coverage. And then what the Republicans want to do with that money is, then they want someone, that's how they want to offset their tax cuts. That's how they can say, oh, see, we're going to give these tax cuts to the corporations and the wealthiest Americans, and it's not going to affect the deficit, which is, so what they want to do is they want to give that funding to, they want to take the funding from Medicaid for the people who need it most, lower income families and individuals, and they want to give it to people who need it the least, right? So the wealthiest Americans and corporations. Now, for us at Family Planning, specifically, let's say if they were able to do that, they could get the change Medicaid to block grant funding or per capita funding, which is something that Claudia Kennedy says she is in favor of, by the way. It would significantly impact us because many of the thousands of patients that we see at our 5 healthcare centers across, we serve Broome, Motsego, Shenango, as well as Delaware County, are people who receive their health care through Medicaid. And if you reduce the pool of patients here in New York State that qualify and can receive health care through Medicaid, there's going to be less people who receive, just specifically for us, life-saving cancer screenings, annual exams, STD testing and treatment, rapid HIV testing, rapid Hep C testing, pregnancy testing. The whole gamut of reproductive health services we provide, as well as all the education programming that we provide as well. So, and it wouldn't be just us, of course. That would be across the gamut. It wouldn't just be places like Family Planning or Planned Parenthood. It would be healthcare centers all across the nation, just because they want to give themselves a tax cut. And I think that is BS, personally. If you sat me at the bar and gave me a few drinks and I wasn't on the clock, I can tell you how I really felt. So that's really specifically. So I think one of the things when they're talking about healthcare, pay attention to what they want to do to Medicaid, because that's really why I think they're suddenly saying we want to try and ram some kind of healthcare reform through, because they want to get out to that pot of money and able to offset their tax cuts. And I promise I'd keep it really short and a little bit informal. Again, we're Family Planning. We're right down there on Holly Street. And no matter what happens, we're going to be here. Our doors will stay open. And we will be providing, again, reproductive health care to women, men, and teens all throughout South Central New York. So we're here, all right? Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon, you guys. It's a beautiful day.
Okay, so we're halfway through, and so we're going to have Kathleen Klein come up, and we have the first of our raffle drawings that we're going to do for $100. So Kathleen, if you're out there, head towards the stage. So in the meantime, next I'd like to talk a bit about what would we learn from Trump's tax returns. Well, here's some of the questions that would answer. How much money does he make? Has he gotten a good return on the millions of dollars his daddy gave him to start a business that has had to declare bankruptcy 6 times? How much or how little does he pay in taxes? We already know he's paid little or no federal income taxes in at least 5 separate years. So this guy's a billionaire, but 5 times at least he's paid 0 in income tax. Is that fair? No! How much or how little money does he keep in foreign accounts? In 2008, Donald Trump Jr. said, and I quote, "Russians make up a pretty disproportionate cross-section of a lot of our assets." He also boasted that the Trump organization has benefited from, quote, "a lot of money pouring in from Russia." That's a quote. How much or how little does Trump give to charity? I bet his favorite charities are things like Feed the Supermodels, Tiny Hands Across America, and my favorite, Occupy Wall Tweet. What deductions and tax credits does Trump claim? Does he consider the undocumented workers in his hotels dependents? How about the Chinese factory workers earning slave wages to make his fantastic, really tremendous neckties? Is Billy Bush a dependent? What business investments has Trump been involved in? How much does he have invested in things like Gulag real estate, Siberian husky farms, nesting doll factories, vodka distilleries, and funeral homes for journalists and political activists? Yeah, boo. Who are Trump's business partners? The estate of Joseph Stalin, perhaps? Or the law firm of Boris Badenov and Natasha? Who does Trump owe money to? FBI Director Comey, maybe? The Hair Club for Men? What does Trump write off as business expenses? Things like ice sculptures of him stepping on migrant farm workers, or gift certificates from Hooters, maybe? Finally, we need to see his tax return to see how much his tax code proposals would directly benefit him, his companies, and his families. Gee, I wonder if Ivanka and Tiffany and Donald Jr. and Eric what would they think about abolishing the estate tax, for example? I think they'd like that a lot. All right, our next speaker is the person most important for making today happen, so please give her a warm welcome. She's the Regional Director of Citizen Action of New York Southern Tier Chapter, Mary Clark.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone, for coming out on this beautiful day. It's great to see everyone out here and really raising our voices. I just want to remind you, if you haven't filled out one of those little green forms for the prize drawing, our People's Tax giveaway for $100, we're going to do the drawing right after I speak, and then we're going to do one at the end of all the speakers. But Citizen Action is proud to be a co-sponsor of today's Tax Day rally with Indivisible. Citizen Action has been around 30 years. We have a 30-year history of working and winning on issues of social, economic, racial, and environmental justice. We organize individuals like yourself. We work in coalition at the state, federal, and local level to win concrete improvements in people's everyday lives. We put power, people power, your power, our collective power to work and have been very successful. Just some examples. We led the fight and coalition to stop fracking here in New York. It shows what people power can do. Last year, the same people power won and increased the minimum wage for all our low-income workers here in New York State. This year, we raised the age to stop incarcerations of our 16 to 18-year-olds in adult prisons. We won additional funding for our public education, which is vital to our future. And most recently, and many of you have been part of this, we stopped the repeal of the Affordable Care Act that would have taken away health care for 24 million Americans. And how do we do this? And I want you to join with me. We educate, we organize, we mobilize, we win. We educate, we organize, we mobilize, we win. We educate, we organize, we mobilize, we win. And that's what we're going to do as we take on the horrible policies of the new Trump administration. Here today, I'm here to talk to you about Donald Trump's new tax and budget policies. Let's begin with health care. Julia told us a little about it. How many here believe that Donald Trump, when he said his health care reform will cover more people at lower costs? No? That isn't what he was really doing? No, it wasn't. And as Julie really said, his real motivation is to destroy health care because health care is where the money is. And he can't get tax cuts for his friends and corporations and his rich, super rich friends unless he takes money from somewhere. And his first attempt was to take health care and destroy health care by taking health care away from 24 million Americans. 20,000 people here in Broome County alone. And why was that? It was designed to give $600 billion to Donald Trump's rich friends and corporations. And does that sound fair? Does that sound right? It's not fair. It's not right. We must stand and fight, fight, fight. It's not fair. It's not right. We must stand and fight, fight, fight. It's not fair. It's not right. We must stand and fight, fight, fight. All right. He didn't just stop there, though. We thought, well, $600 billion is a lot of money. Oh, no, no, no. Donald Trump put forth his new budget proposal. And what he proposed in that, to add to the $600 billion, was to give $6 trillion more in tax breaks. And who benefits from that? The top 0.1% of our population will get, the very richest, Donald Trump's friends, will get a tax cut of $1 million a year. Ooh. And what is our average family earning $50,000? What does the average family get? $1 a week. They get $1 million, we get $1 a week. And 9 million people, as Micah was talking about, 9 million people who are primarily single-headed household people will actually pay more in taxes. Now, does that sound fair? No. Does it sound right? No. All right. It's not fair. It's not right. We must stand and fight, fight, fight. It's not fair. It's not right. We must stand and fight, fight, fight. Okay. It doesn't end there. How do we pay for the $6 trillion tax giveaway, we ask? How do we think we pay for it? For every dollar, how the budget's structured, for every dollar we lose in tax revenues, it has to come from somewhere. And we're going to hear from Tarek later, it's not coming from the military, they're going to increase that. so what happens is it has to come from domestic programs. And part of his budget that they've laid out, we see drastic cuts to domestic programs like Head Start, Meals on Wheels, education, cancer research, you name it, every program, domestic program will be cut to finance this $6 trillion giveaway to the richest, Donald Trump's rich friends and his buddy corporations. And does that sound fair? Does that sound right? It's not fair, it's not right. We must stand and fight, fight, fight. It's not fair, it's not right. We must stand and fight, fight, fight. Yes. All right. So, it's like, what role can we all play? We need to be involved, and we need to all take action. We have seen that collectively we can defeat things. No one thought we could defeat the first go-round for healthcare. They're coming at us still more and more because, as we know, they need that money to give these tax cuts away. So we need to be organized, and we have to be relentless. We have to work together for the next 4 years. And if we all do a little, we can make this happen, and we can stand up, unify, and resist. So I'm asking people to take a pledge to do 3 things a month. Okay, are you ready to take action? 3 things a month. Okay. The first thing, you must call Claudia Tenney.
Every day!
Every day! All right, I like the spirit. I was saying once a month, but every day, every week, once a month. But will people pledge to call Claudia Tenney?
Yes!
All right, we're pledging to call Claudia Tenney. The next thing is we need to work together. We need to volunteer once a month. There's plenty of opportunities to volunteer. We do Take Action Tuesdays and Thursdays. Every Tuesday and Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30, people make posters, beautiful signs that we see here today. People make phone calls to call you and tell you about the rallies and things that are happening. We write letters. We do a lot of things. But we're asking people to volunteer one day on a Tuesday or Thursday once a month. Can you all do that? We need you to do that. All right. And we're also starting to do, now that it's nice weather, we're starting to go door to door, talking to people out in our community to get more and more of us to be part of the resistance movement and to unify to defend ourselves against this Trump agenda. So May 7th is a day that we're going to go canvassing. It's happening all over the country. So we're inviting you to join and to sign up to do that. Then we ask you to attend one event. Like, here are your months, you're here at this event. That's great. An event, a rally, a meeting. We have Wednesdays, we do the resistance meetings once a month. On Wednesdays, the first Wednesdays of the month, at 6:30 at the First Congregational Church. And our meeting in May 3rd, we invite you all to it. It's going to be actually a celebration of the last 6 months of hard work that people have put in. And we're going to highlight things that people done and share some food and music. And that'll be a fun thing, but we also do a lot of work. So we invite you to get involved. So you're going to call Claudia Tenney, right? You're going to volunteer 1 shift a month, right? Yes. And you're going to attend 1 event, 1 training, 1 meeting once a month. Got it? All right. And if we all do that, then I always believe people united shall never be defeated. People united shall never be defeated. People united shall never be defeated. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Clark, for making today happen. So my friend Kathleen Klein is going to bring over the entries for our raffle. So she's going to pick at random one of these, and one of you folks out there is going to win $100. Oh, good. This is someone we want to give $100 to. Patricia Donahue. Right down there. Longtime activist, lovely person. So Patricia, go over to the registration desk and you get $100. And thank you for being here. We are doing another drawing at the end of our speakers. We're more than halfway through now, so stick around. And if you haven't filled out an entry form, go over to the registration table for Citizen Action there and get entered for that second one. So, next thing I want to talk about is what has the Donald himself said about releasing his taxes? So after each one of these, I'm going to ask you to yell, "Show me the money!" Okay? So in 2011, Mr. Trump said he would release his tax returns after President Obama released his long-form birth certificate. What do we say to that? Show me the money! In 2014, he said he would absolutely release returns if I decide to run for office. What do we say to that?
Show me the money!
In 2015, he said, I would release tax returns. Nobody knows the tax return world better than me. To which we say,
Show me the money!
January 2016, he said he was ready to disclose his very big, very beautiful returns.
Show me the money!
February of 2016, said he would release his returns probably over the next few months.
Show me the money!
February 2016, same month, I will absolutely give my return, but I'm being audited now for 2 or 3 years' worth, so I can't.
Show me the money!
Responding to claims that he had a bombshell in his taxes, Trump said that same month, February of 2016, we'll make a determination over the next couple of months. It's very complicated.
Show me the money!
May 6, 2016, he says he fights very hard to pay as little tax as possible.
Show me the money!
Same month, May of 2016, I will release my tax returns when audit is complete, not after the election. So he said before the election he would do it, not after. Which we say,
Show me the money!
July of 2016, his comrade, Paul Manafort, said, Mr. Trump has said that his taxes are under audit and he will not be releasing them.
Show me the money!
Same month, July of 2016, Mr. Trump said, I haven't had much pressure to release tax returns. I'll be honest, most people don't care.
Show me the money!
September of 2016, he said, when the audit is complete, I will release my returns. I have no problem with it. It doesn't matter.
Show me the money!
And that brings us to January, at his first press event as president, in which he said, I'm not releasing the tax returns because, as you know, they're under audit.
Show me the money!
All right, so our next speaker is the former director of the City of Binghamton's Planning, Housing, and Community Development Department. Please welcome Tariq Abdelazim.
Good afternoon. Mary had asked me to join about a couple days ago because there was someone who dropped out. So I'm somewhere that I wasn't expected to be. And I said, wow, I finally have something in common with Donald Trump. So they had asked me to talk a little bit about the work that we had did in the city, managing a critical resource from the Housing Urban Development Department. I want to, if folks could just raise their hand, who here knows well the Community Development Block Grant? Raise your hand. Right. maybe about a smattering, about a dozen people. Let's all learn together a little bit, because this is something that Trump has proposed in his budget. And I'd like to say that we should always say Trump GOP budget. It's not just President Donald Trump. These are policies that the Republicans have been pushing for years, and we shouldn't let them off the hook. So the Community Development Block Grant is run by the Housing and Urban Development Department. About 1,300 cities all across the country receive a direct annual block grant. The city receives about $2 million a year, and I'm talking the city of Binghamton. I was responsible for managing those funds. Right now, it is the most flexible discretionary funding that the federal government provides local communities. In fact, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which is composed of Democratic and Republican mayors, has always said that this is their number one priority: increase funding for CDBG, Community Development Block Grant. It's been around for about 40 years, and again, one of the most successful federal-local partnerships. Why? Because it allows local communities to tailor that fund to needs in some of their most disinvested neighborhoods, or to support some of their more vulnerable populations. So let me give you an example of some of the things that we've invested in here in the city of Binghamton, thanks to the Community Development Block Grants. We've been able to cover salary costs of code enforcement, economic development, housing division, planning division, community development division, police department, engineering, finance, and legal that are doing work consistent with that program. All of those costs would be pushed onto local taxpayers if this program is eliminated, as Trump's 2017 proposed budget includes. We demolish blighted properties all across the city. We have emergency housing repair programs for seniors. We've created parks and green spaces. Folks know about the urban farm down here. We've also supported community gardening across the city. The Columbus Park Spray Park, that was Community Development Block Grant funds. The Kennedy Park right up here, we redesigned that with the seniors to make that space more hospitable and safe. We've supported community-driven park projects, the Sunflower Park, the Walnut Street Park. We've been able to do street reconstructions. Some of our more disinvested neighborhoods, when you see streets completely reconstructed, that's the Community Development Block Grant. We provide startup loans to small businesses, Freshie sites right down the street here, and many other local businesses that are support and hire our local residents. And then finally, human services for all of our most vulnerable populations. We've supported youth programming. We've supported healthcare programs for seniors, victims of domestic violence, and veterans and homeless populations. Okay, now think about that. Think of all the positive work that does, right? $2 million a year in Binghamton. The allocation each year is about $3 billion. $3 billion, and it provides that much support, replicated all across thousands of cities and communities across the country. Now let's talk about militarism. The Iraq War, we spent $8 billion a month for 9 years. $8 billion a month for 9 years consistently. And we're going to eliminate this program and many others? It's ridiculous. I'm not even talking about, and I don't want to overlook the human costs of war, right? Those are the fiscal costs. And this budget proposes shifting another $50 billion towards our military budgets. The human cost, millions displaced, tragic loss of lives. We're losing more veterans to suicide than we've lost in the war.
That's right. That's true.
I get emotional. So let me just finish with a couple comments. One, we've had 16 plus years of continuous war. And that has been supported by Republicans and Democrats. I'm wearing a shirt from the National Civil Rights Museum. It says at the balcony of room 306. Does anybody know the significance? Thank you. That's where Martin Luther King was assassinated about 11 days ago. A year before, he gave one of his most powerful speeches, right? Beyond Vietnam. He was in Memphis working on the sanitation strikes, organizing poor people. He connected civil rights and racial justice to militarism and poverty. And he became a very dangerous man when he did that. I'm asking the resistance. It's time for us to become dangerous. In the spirit of Martin Luther King, in the spirit of his courage, and in the spirit of his compassion, it is time we become dangerous. Blessed be the peacemakers.
That was awesome, Tara. Thank you. So, before I was telling you some of the quotes that the Donald has made about not releasing his taxes, my favorite quote was by Kellyanne Conway. Let's hear it for Kellyanne Conway. Yeah. So in January, Kellyanne Conway survived the Bowling Green massacre, where she was attacked by a rogue microwave oven, just in time to share this alternative fact. Quote, "The White House response is that he's not going to release his tax returns. We litigated this all through the election. People didn't care. They voted for him. Do we care?" Over 1 million people have signed the whitehouse.gov petition demanding the release of Mr. Trump's tax returns. That set the record for most signatures on a White House petition, and it only took 6 days. Do we care? Yes! There are bills in dozens of state legislatures across the country that would deny candidates running for president access to the state election ballots if they don't release their tax returns. Yeah! Do we care? Yeah! MoveOn.org and Global Strategy Group just released a poll in the last couple of days that showed that 80% of Americans think Trump should release his taxes. Yeah! Do we care? Yeah! Even among Republicans, that percentage is 64%. Do we care? Yes! Unfortunately, the Republican Congress does not care. Boo! They have the legal right to request and, if necessary, subpoena those tax returns. Democrats have brought the issue up for a vote at least 3 times this year in the House. Did 64% of the Republicans in the House vote yes? No. How about 0%, which is the exact same percentage that deserves to be reelected in 2018? Do we care? Yes! All right, so our final speaker for today is the owner of a local small business that you know and love. That's the Cyber Cafe West. Let's hear it for Jeff Kahn. And then right after this, we're going to do our second raffle drawing.
Hey everyone. I run a business. I could do anything. I could be president. I could perform surgeries, whatever. I own a business. All right. So I was driving my car the other day, and I noticed all these roads and bridges I was traveling upon. I found all these thoroughfares very convenient. Of course, like any good American, I have no desire to pay for any of it. Nor do I want to pay for medical research, schools, police, firemen, or PBS. Actually, I don't mind giving a few bucks to a PBS, but the rest of it, I just expect it all to exist. Paying for none of it makes me smart. That is what our president has said, and he claims to have the smartest brain. So the best plan would be for no one to pay taxes. Large corporations have pretty much figured out how to do this, so let's all get smart and no one pay anything. But Jeff, you might ask, wouldn't this cause problems? Well, if saving money is a problem, then yes it would. But here is a solution. We just do what someone does when they get really sick in our country. We have a bake sale or make a GoFundMe page. Your favorite bridge is looking a little unsafe? Just set up a GoFundMe page. Care about climate change research? Try a can drive, because the government has stopped that kind of thing already. The days of progressive tax system funding our shared community is over. But think of the savings. Just cutting out all support for the arts will save every taxpayer over $1 a year. Sell off the parks and you double your savings. Back when we were building a lot of highways and schools and sending astronauts to the moon, wealthy people had to pay a higher percentage of their income to fund our society. This made them feel dumb. So with careful investments in politicians, we were all educated to understand that the very wealthy had to pay the money to the government, and these job creators would not be able to create jobs. Even though this is a ridiculous premise, it was used by those funded to believe it to dismantle progressive taxation. Now, instead of the rich paying more in taxes, the government simply borrows money from them. The concept is immortalized in the huge deficit that ballooned after each cut for the very rich. And now that huge deficit has become a sledgehammer to crush any funding that goes to something that doesn't explode. Yes, building bombs and jailing people and making useless walls is always in the budget. But anything that would help someone else have a better life is too costly. And of course, it is patently unfair that someone who slaves away on Wall Street making billions buying up and dismantling companies is forced to pay for some poor kid's school lunch. Perhaps that kid's lazy parents should try working 3 jobs instead of a leisurely 2. That is the underlying thought that makes us all hate taxes. We believe that it is all going to someone else. We do not recognize our shared existence. We take no pride in our shared community. We prefer to think of ourselves as individuals who all exist independently. So let us all believe that and stop paying taxes and start building our roads and ourselves. And as things start to unwind, we can know we are just as smart as our president. Speaking of our president, I understand we're supposed to be calling on President Trump to release his taxes. I would appreciate the gesture of respect for our country that such transparency would represent. But I don't expect Trump will want the facts to interfere with what he's been claiming. No pun intended. He will not willingly let us glimpse the reality of his return. But let me ask you this. What difference would be revealing his taxes make to what we already know? We know Trump has committed multiple frauds, a bogus university, a model agency that exploits immigrants come to mind, as well as a history of ripping off small businesses. We know his money comes from Russia and China, and he has ties to corrupt banks. We know many of his associates have Russian spies on speed dial. We know that he brags of sexual assault and has cheated on his wives. We know that Trump lies and exaggerates as easily as breathing. The only thing that would shock me from Trump's taxes is if we find he gave money to a charity that does not specialize in buying giant pictures of himself. I imagine the revelations of Trump's taxes would be like discovering Charles Manson has unpaid parking tickets. It will change very little of what we already know. One thing that needs to change is our willingness to be represented by people who traffic in lies and tolerate blatant corruption. There is plenty of evidence not hidden. We are witnessing enough corruption and lies to destroy 1,000 Democrats. But the hypocrisy of the ruling party is without shame. But these representatives were almost fairly elected, depending on your stance on gerrymandering and fake news. What needs to happen is the election of fair and honest people who will take seriously the sacred trust of our future we put upon them, and perhaps spend our great wealth that most of us pay in taxes, creating a brighter, fairer, and more sustainable future.
Run for president! Run for president! Jeff for president! We have concerns. We need to see your tax return.
Yes, we do. I love this guy right in front. You should run for president, too. So here's your marching orders, everybody. Mary Clark gave you some talking points earlier. So we need you to check out Indivisiblebinghamton.com, our brand new website. So please do that if you haven't already. And join our Facebook group. There's already 718 of us, and we'd like to see all of you join that as well. So go to Facebook, look up Indivisible Binghamton, and join our group. Same thing for Citizen Action. They have a website and are on Facebook. Call and write Congresswoman Tenney.
Yeah!
Demand that she follows through on her promise to hold town halls.
Yeah!
Contact Representative Tenney, Senator Schumer, and Senator Gillibrand to demand that Congress subpoena Trump's tax returns and stand strongly against the GOP's tax plan, which, just like their disastrous health care plan, would take money from all of us and use it to further enrich the 1% at the top. If you're out there and you're an activist, if you're a first-time activist like me, yes, thank you. We hope that you will consider running for office. Speaking especially to young people, especially to women, we need more women in office. So most of all, we all need to stand up, speak out, and resist. 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 Okay, so we appreciate everybody coming out today. Give yourself a big round of applause. So as a thank you from us, we've hidden some Easter eggs around the courthouse lawn. Most of them have candy in them. But we're also hoping you can help us find Congresswoman Tenney. One of the eggs has a picture of her on her motorcycle. Very cool. And that will earn you a $25 gift card. Another one of those eggs has a picture of the Donald in Chief and a voucher you can take to the registration table to get a set of luxury gold golf balls. So you can feel like you're in Mar-a-Lago too. All right. One more round of applause for all of you for coming out today. Happy Easter, thank you, and resist! And here we got the winner of the raffle.
I just want to let people know what's coming up. We have a Sci-Cli event, the Science and Climate. We combined the Science and Climate marches to an event on April 22nd. So look for your Easter eggs. We're going to have someone, the music start playing again, but the Sci-Cli event Saturday, April 22nd. We're going to do a march at 11 a.m. from the Confluence Park to the Martin Luther King Promenade, where we'll have lots of entertainment, lots of interesting displays in regard to science and climate. And that goes from 11 to 4, but we have our march at 11 on the 26th. But people, find your eggs, and while we're looking for the eggs, we're going to hear again from Dana and Bob, who are going to sing us some songs, and then we're going to do the final drawing for the last $100. So we'll turn it over to Dana and Bob, and then look for your eggs. Has anyone found Claudia Tenney yet? We're still looking for her, so someone will find it in one of the eggs, so look around. All right, here we go, Dana, and then we'll do the drawing at the end.